As the Greek presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance draws to a close, and as we take stock of our work, it is right that we should be proud of the IHRA's achievements, but conscious of the challenges that lie ahead. Our work doesn't end here. Indeed, as Sweden begins a new presidency, the themes that we have put at the heart of the Greek presidency, promoting Holocaust education and combating Holocaust denial and distortion on the internet, remain as relevant as ever. The value Greeks place on education runs deep. Learning is part of the very fabric of Greek society. As Socrates put it, the only good is knowledge, and the only evil is ignorance. Our presidency focused on teaching and learning not just because we have a moral duty to educate on behalf of those who perished and those who survived, but also because education is a precondition to understanding our past, interpreting our present, and most importantly, safeguarding our democratic future. 7 decades after the Holocaust, anti-Semitism is on the rise across the globe. Shocking and disturbing as it may seem, recent research shows large parts of the populace of Europe and the United States have little or even no knowledge of the Holocaust. That ignorance must serve as a reminder that we cannot rest. We must intensify our efforts to educate. Learning about the facts, the motivations, and the behaviors behind the greatest crime of the 20th century is a vital starting point in promoting critical thinking. Above all, Holocaust education helps to tackle prejudice, highlights the danger of stereotyping, words of complacency, forges responsible political attitudes, and encourages tolerance, empathy, and the protection and promotion of human rights. But education cannot just be the preserve of the classroom. It should be extended to everyday life, and especially to the fight against digital disinformation, denial, and distortion. During the pandemic, the use and misuse of digital tools, especially across the internet, took on a new relevance and an ever greater role in every aspect of our lives. That is why our presidency identified as its second central goal combating Holocaust denial and distortion on the internet. By excusing, minimizing, or misrepresenting the historical record of the Holocaust, by spreading lies and misinformation, distortion paves the way for denial, violent anti-Semitism, and extreme nationalism. We cannot allow that trend to continue. We must and we will tackle it at its source, through government-to-government collaboration, by harnessing the power of experts, and by working with the social media companies and civil society. Now more than ever, we need to use the internet to defend the truth, protect against the distortion of fact, and act against hate speech. And we need to educate users and platform moderators on the diverse manifestation of anti-Semitism across the web. As long as extremism, conspiracy theories, and hate speech continue to threaten our societies, learning about the faraway camps of madness, as Greek author Georgios described them, is vital. Because the consequences of ignorance, denial, and distortion are not far away. They are real. They are present, and they must be tackled head-on. Promoting Holocaust education, research, and remembrance empowers us to do just that. Education is the weapon that allows us to ensure such atrocities can never happen again. We remain strongly committed to this collective effort, and on behalf of Greece, I wish the incoming Swedish presidency of the IHRA every success. Thank you.
The Greek presidency of the IHRA comes to a close, and with this opportunity I would like to underline the strong confirmation of Greece's commitment and devotion to the ideals and objectives of our alliance. During the past year, we were called upon not only to conduct and promote the work of IHRA, but also to lead the alliance through the difficult and uncertain times of the global pandemic. At the beginning of our presidency, we were still hoping to welcome all IHRA delegates to the plenary meetings in Athens and Thessaloniki in person and offer our country's famous hospitality. However, since the course of the pandemic did not allow for this to happen, the two plenary meetings were successfully held online with many important achievements. First of all, the Greek presidency contributed to the enlargement of the alliance by welcoming new member and observer countries, thus expanding the IHRA's message. In May 2021, the IHRA plenary adopted a statement issued by the IHRA chair Ambassador Lazaris, strongly condemning anti-Semitic violence and hate speech in response to the escalation of violence in the Middle East. Furthermore, the Athens plenary decided the drafting of recommendations for teaching and learning about the genocide of the Roma. The Thessaloniki plenary adopted the IHRA guidelines for identifying relevant documentation for Holocaust research, education, and remembrance. Moreover, two new resources against Holocaust distortion were launched, a film and a publication. The presidency ended with a major international conference in Kalamata on the Holocaust, genocides, and mass atrocities. The Greek presidency has also decided to organize an international conference in the city of Ioannina regarding Holocaust distortion on the internet and social media. This conference had to be postponed due to the pandemic, but it will still be held outside the term of our presidency in late May, and has already gathered a great deal of interest, especially among the managers of digital platforms. The Greek presidency also co-hosted a bespoke symposium on combating racism and hate speech within the Athens Democracy Forum, a major political and academic event. As we indicated at the beginning of our presidency, we consider education to be the primary weapon in combating anti-Semitism and all hateful ideologies. Under our presidency's auspices, together with the Greek Ministry of Education in collaboration with other countries and institutions, we ran more than 15 seminars, educational programs and workshops on teaching about the Holocaust and training educators and other public officials. The Jewish Museum of Greece has contributed greatly in several of these programs. In the light of these important achievements, we feel honored to hand over a successful presidency to our Swedish partners, while we strive to maintain and expand our contribution to the fulfillment of the IHRA objectives in the years to come. Thank you.
Almost a year ago, Greece took on the responsibility of the annual presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, an alliance which strives to not only preserve the memory of the Holocaust, but also guide humanity towards a future free from the darkness of totalitarianism and intolerance. As heirs of humanitarian values and democratic principles, we have taken on this responsibility because we feel obliged to emphasize their importance. Furthering IHRA's values and goals has been such an opportunity, and we did not dismiss it. It was our duty as well as an honor and privilege. Greece has taken the lead at every opportunity in battle against ideologies of hatred. Greek society has demonstrated resilience against the most extreme version of hatred against otherness, namely the Holocaust. This has been demonstrated since 1944, when the courageous Mayor Carrer and Bishop Chrysostomos in Zakynthos managed to save all the Jews of the island from the Nazis. More recently, we have stood firm against efforts to introduce neo-Nazi ideas in Greece. We have taken all necessary actions to ensure that the rule of law prevails, that the forces of darkness do not reappear under the Greek sky. Inspired by its tradition of inclusive education, the Greek presidency of the IHRA set teaching and learning about the Holocaust as its central theme and goal. We devoted our utmost efforts at broadening and deepening this field by taking a series of actions. Focusing on the public recognition and remembrance of the victims and survivors of the Holocaust, and on combating hateful ideologies. The Greek diaspora acted as a multiplier, enhancing the effectiveness of our initiatives. We're particularly proud of the fact that the Republic of North Macedonia took the critical step, joining the IHRA community during the Greek presidency. Cyprus and Brazil have also joined as observers. Our fundamental vision has been to keep the torch lit in adverse times as the global community faces extreme challenges, including new forms of racism and anti-Semitism. Today, we are handing over the presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance to Sweden with a sentiment of fulfillment. Having honored the Alliance's commitment to respect and preserve the facts and memories of the Holocaust atrocities, having struggled by all means to expose and explain new threats like the systematic attempts to deny and distort the Holocaust. Above all, having preserved the zeal and determination of this alliance to never allow the unthinkable crime to happen again. Thank you.
Honorable guests, dear educators, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great honor for Greece to be the presiding country at the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance on our common path to a world without genocide. I firmly believe that education is the most powerful weapon we possess in our collective effort to prevent such harrowing and dehumanizing events from ever happening again. To this end, during the Greek presidency, we took the following initiatives. We organized a transnational webinar on how the IHRA recommendations for teaching and learning about the Holocaust can help educators, and we provided a meeting platform for discussions for teachers from Israel, the United States, and Greece. More than 150 participants exchanged practices and ideas on the IHRA recommendations for teaching and learning about the Holocaust. The Ministry of Education collaborated with Yad Vashem and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. The Jewish Museum of Greece offered and continues to offer a wide variety of free, high-quality educational material and events, such as periodic exhibitions, seminars, thematic tours, and documentary screenings to schools that wish to organize educational visits for students under the auspices of the Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs. A circular was sent to all schools with guidelines in order to organize a 2-hour educational presentation of the Holocaust on the 27th of January, Day of Remembrance. In light of the IHRA North Macedonia membership procedure, we organized the educational webinar, Practical Implementation of the 3 legally non-binding IHRA working definitions in multicultural societies, lessons learned, best practices, step forward. And we did this jointly with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of North Macedonia, the Federal Ministry for Europe Integration and Foreign Affairs of Austria, and the Hellenic Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the participation of 15 teachers and educators. The seminar, Holocaust as a Starting Point, with the participation of 13 educators, set the fertile ground for discussions initially between Greece and North Macedonia, and later with Bulgaria. The next seminar, with more participants from all countries, will hopefully be held in person in Greece. 2 seminars for students, in collaboration with the Memorial de la Shoah, entitled The Holocaust and Mass Atrocity, Comparing to Single Out, were also organized by Greece. Both seminars were held in Athens, the first in collaboration with the Institute of International Relations of Pandion University, and the second with the support of the Laboratory of Political Philosophy of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens. The result of this successful cooperation with the Memorial de la Shoah is a memorandum of cooperation that will be signed on March 1st, 2022. A seminar for clergy was also organized in collaboration with Yad Vashem and the Academy of Theological Studies of Volos, Greece. When COVID-19 measures allow it, the Orthodox clergy will travel to Yad Vashem, Israel, for the second part of the seminar. We have provided the opportunity for students to visit the Auschwitz Museum in order to witness in person the atrocities of the Holocaust. The book, 5 Chimneys, was translated and printed with the contribution of the Jewish Museum of Greece and the National Printing Office. The translated edition of the book will be distributed free of charge to teachers who will attend seminars on the Holocaust in order to create relevant educational programs. The General Secretariat of Religious Affairs and the Metropolis of Messenia organized, with the support of U.S. Mission in Greece and Fulbright Foundation in Greece, an international conference. This conference was the only event held in person for IHRA delegates in the context of the annual Greek Presidency of IHRA. Our initiatives are part of the Ministry's ongoing effort to strengthen the Holocaust education and the fight against anti-Semitism. When the health restrictions are eased, we will be able to organize more activities with even more participants. Please allow me to extend my warmest congratulations to Sweden for taking over the IHRA presidency and to express our best wishes for a successful incumbency. Thank you very much.
Dear members of the organizing committee, Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear friends. It was exactly 1 year ago that I was honored to be entrusted by His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nikos Dendias, to take over the Special Committee for the Greek Presidency of IHRA for 2021-2022. This was the start of a long journey into one of the most fascinating and determining facets of both modern history and contemporary society and politics. Later in the year, I was posted as Ambassador of Greece to Turkey, where I arrived on December 14, 2021. Despite all the best efforts of both myself and my team, the logistics of conducting such an exercise from a foreign land over open communication lines proved too much, and much to my regret, I had to resign my commission a few weeks ago. The Greek presidency of the IHRA, for the further few weeks remaining, was placed in the very capable hands of my up-to-then deputy, Georgios Polydrakis, whom you all know so well. I can only thank him from my heart for the sterling service he gave in these past 10 months and wish him luck for the remainder. So thank you all, starting from Greece's political leadership, Their Excellencies President Katerina Sakelaropoulou, Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Deputy Prime Minister Panagiotis Pikrammenos, Minister of Foreign Affairs Nikos Dendias, Minister of Education Niki Kerameus, all of whom embraced the endeavor of the Greek presidency of IHRA and even participated enthusiastically in its workings whenever the need arose. Many thanks will also go to our mentors and partners, Secretary General for Communications of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Yannis Chrysoulakis, Secretary General of the Ministry of Education, Georgios, and his Cabinet Director, Vasiliki Keramida, also a prominent member of our national delegation. No thanks are enough for my brethren in arms in the Special Commission, just to mention, apart from Georgios Polydrakis, Thimios Ravandinos, Eva Konstantinidou, Nancy Andriopoulou, and George Psycholios. A special mention to the diplomatic advisors to Deputy Premier Pikrammenos, Nikos Karalekas and Dimitris Sofos, as well as to Mara Zhouva and Katerina Zafiri of the Libyan Bureau, with whom we shared our premises and who also offered their generous assistance to our work. Our partners in the Permanent Office of IHRA merit a special place in my heart. Secretary General Catherine Mayer, Deputy Leonard Audick, Martin Grantast, Barbara Uchtdorf, Laura Robertson, and all our other friends in Berlin. A heartfelt word of thanks to our national delegation to IHRA, His Eminence Metropolitan Chrysostomos of Messenia, Jeanette Batidou, Leon Saltiel, Paul Howell, Ioannis Manzas, and George Antoniou. I know they suffered in our hands, especially with our last-minute requirements, but they came through with flying colours. A special word to Elan Passé, the Roma Association of Greece, for their textbook cooperation in this endeavour and more. Many thanks also to the other national delegations to IHRA, I would love to mention each and every one by name, but there is no space or time for this. A nod, however, to my predecessor, Germany's Michaela Kühler, and Luxembourg's Georges Santerre, who took the trouble and time to offer their more than precious counsel. As advice goes, I would be totally great not to thank my private tutor, as it were, my dear friend Yossi Emrani, Israel's ambassador to Greece, diplomat, poet, and philhellene extraordinaire. Thank you, Yossi, and sorry for all the trouble I gave you. As many thanks to Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt and his staff in the United States Embassy in Greece, especially David Berger, Michelle Siders, and Brian Broyhouse. Thank you, guys. You have been wonderful friends in difficult times. Last but not least, anything but least, in fact, all the Jewish organizations that assisted us along the way, such as Berith, in particular, Angelos Kolokouris, Combat Antisemitism, and Arthur Massajan, the European Jewish Congress, and so many more. Finally, all Israelite Greeks who embarked so generously on this year-long adventure and stood up by us unstintingly, so many of them that I will limit myself to mentioning the Central Israelite Council of Greece, its chairman, David Sadletier, Secretary General Victor Eliezer, Deputy Chairman Emmanuel Archanatis, and pray may I be forgiven if I forgot to mention more. A very special word for Mrs. Elisaf, Mayor of Ioanna, whom we put through some staging situations, and yet he never flagged or failed. Thank you, Mrs. We still look forward to meet again in this jewel of your town. At the end, the only one to fail was probably me, but not of my own volition. I had this opportunity, however, to have a unique look at this world of extraordinary richness, spirituality, that is the world of Judaism, and to become involved with this really elite segment of Greek society, the Israelite Greeks, who gave so much to my country since the times of Alexander the Great. God bless you all.
The Greek presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance is now concluded. In this short video, we try to summarize the goals, the activities, and the achievements of our mandate. As it has already been indicated, we are happy, satisfied, and proud of what we have achieved since last April, when Greece took over the responsibility of the IHRA presidency. From my side, I would like to thank here those who mainly contributed to the success of this presidency. The Greek presidency would not have been able to succeed without the determination and political guidance of the Greek government. The Prime Minister, Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Panagiotis Pikrammenos, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nikos Dendias, strongly and actively supported the work of the presidency since the very beginning and at every step. The Minister of Education and Religious Affairs, Mrs. Niki Kerameus, also assisted and supported our work. Finally, the Minister of Digital Governance, Mr. Kyriakos, contributed a lot in the organization of the two plenary meetings in digital form. Given that education was one of the two priorities of our presidency, during our mandate many educational programs were organized in cooperation with the Ministry of Education. In this respect, the role of the Secretary General for Religious Affairs of the Ministry of Education, Mr. Georgios, was crucial. I would also like to thank the Secretary General for Greeks Abroad and Public Diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yannis Christoulakis, for his support in the organization of the presidency. We are also thankful to the Central Board of Jewish Communities of Greece and its President, Mr. David Saltiel, for their support. Of course, the heart and soul of the presidency and the person to whom its successful running is mainly owed is my predecessor, the first Greek IHRA chair, Ambassador Chris Lazaris. Our presidency would not have achieved its goals without his commitment, his passion, his knowledge, and his guidance. The presidency heavily counted on the invaluable assistance of the Jewish Museum of Greece and its director, Mrs. Annette Batinu, who is also a member of the Greek delegation to the IHRA. The rest of the members of the Greek delegation also played an active role in the presidency by participating and organizing events and by spreading its messages. So did the Greek diplomatic and consular authorities abroad. As it happens with each and every IHRA presidency, the Greek presidency was very much supported by the Permanent Office of the Alliance in Berlin. Secretary General Dr. Catherine Meyer and the entire team did, as usual, a great job, and we warmly thank them. Last but not least, please allow me to wholeheartedly thank the organizing committee of the Greek presidency of the IHRA here in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A team of very dedicated and talented colleagues who worked with passion in a difficult period due to the ongoing pandemic so that this presidency succeeds. The contribution of Mr. Efthimios Aravandinos, Mrs. Eva Konstantinidou, Mr. Georgios, and Mrs. Nancy Andriopoulou was tremendous, and we are grateful to them. Special thanks also go to Mrs. Eleana Albani from the Press Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who assisted in the creation and ran the website of the presidency. There were many others who also helped us at different stages of the presidency. The time limits of this video do not allow me to mention all of them by name, but this does not mean that we are not grateful to them. We end our mandate with the certainty that the Greek presidency of the IHRA fulfilled its duty. We believe that we managed to significantly contribute to the cause that the Alliance serves and to its goals. We are certain that we contributed to the Holocaust remembrance and to the fight against anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial and distortion. We wish to the incoming Swedish presidency every success in this demanding mission, and we hope that this year we will all have the opportunity to at last meet in person again. Thank you.